Welcome in, friends, to Leading Off. That's right. We are here, we are live, and we are here for the playoff run. The fantasy playoffs should be here. I am Chris Welsh. You can find me on Twitter at @IsItTheWelsh. And joining me today is Andrew Seifter on Twitter, Andrew_Seifter. It is playoff time, Andrew. How are we rocking? How are we prepared? Who are we streaming? Tell me every little detail about your playoffs. Go.
All right. Well, I'm a rotisserie league guy, so I like I
Oh,
like
no
the slow
playoffs.
build to the end, man. But I'm still in a neck and neck race for first place in my oldest league, so I'm sweating it out, staring at the categories every single day, figuring out if I can get that one extra save or that one extra home run that I need to jump up a spot in the standings, because it really could come down to anything. I remember a few years ago, I tied for the league championship on the final day because Carlos Correa stole a base. So
Mm.
it really can come down to the end, even in those rotisserie leagues. But of course, in head to head, it's even more intense.
Yeah, we have that. Y'all, you have those memories too. There's that. There'll always be that one fantasy baseball memory, whether it's roto or whether it's head to head. And I had one of those with one of our buddies where it was the last day, last game, Sunday Night Baseball years ago. Hunter Pence hit 2 homers, which tied me in homers, I think, in runs, and we tied 8-8. And I moved on to the tiebreaker to go to the championship. And one of my good friends always remembers that. That's what it is in fantasy baseball, is built around the grind. So hopefully
Yeah, and
we can
Hunter
help you
Pence
here.
is awesome, man. I bet you he would appreciate that if you told him that story on Twitter or something.
Yeah, I probably should. I'll always remember him. And me and my buddy, what we do is we just text each other 8-8. That's it. The 8-8 tie is what it was because it was a bigger head-to-head categories league. Very good stuff. But we are here for the grind, and hopefully we can help you make all of those decisions. We're going to talk about Andrew's top pickups. We are going to be going through all of the stuff and things, stat leaders from over the weekend, home run calls. What do you guys think the leaderboard looks like? Because I'm going to give you a little hint and tip. We got a brand new person at the top. We have a new leader that we have not had all season long, and we've only got a couple weeks to go, so it should be awesome. What was awesome, especially as a personally Diamondbacks fan, but was a really just great record, Zach Gallen had the scoreless streak extended to become the number one Diamondback of all time, but he just lost his scoreless streak, which was 44 in a third consecutive innings. It was snapped when CJ Cron had an RBI single in the fourth inning, but an incredibly impressive performance by Zach Gallen. And, this had me thinking, over the weekend, I was working a lot. I'm working on a lot of ranks right now, and I was working on my early 2023 ranks. That's what I focused. I finally focused, and I'm like, that's the one I'm going to get done first, and then I'm going to move to my dynasty and prospect, get those cleaned up. But going through and looking at 2023 ranks and comparing performances can make it really difficult on values. Zach Gallen is a tough one because he was dominant, had a lull, and he's gone back to complete dominance on a sub-ish par team. But that scoreless streak, nonetheless, probably one of the more impressive performances of the year, Andrew.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And of course it has to end in Coors Field of all
Of
places.
course.
Not really fair. I think that they should have like a stat for uh, consecutive scoreless innings at normal elevation, and we should be able to just keep it going. But I'm glad that he gave us a nice parting gift for fantasy with 11 strikeouts in that outing. So even though he ended up giving up a few runs, it was still a very nice performance to help us for those stretch runs.
And on the year, 158 innings, he's at 12-2 record, a 2.5 ERA, xFIP that is around 3.32. He does have a FIP that's under 3 on the season. He's cut the homers by a dramatic marker. It was 1.49 last year, down to 0.62. Walks have been cut by a full walk, and the strikeouts, he's taken a little bit of a tick down in the strikeouts, but he's been phenomenal. 3.33 Sierra, which has just proven that he is in the elite class of pitchers. And I think he's going to be a primary target after the big dogs next year. And whatever the big dogs look like, by the way. But Zach Gallen having that streak broken, really nonetheless impressive of what he does. Speaking of impressive, 697. Albert Pujols hit 697 off of Chase DeYoung in the ninth inning, passing Alex Rodriguez for fourth place all time on the home run list. Now 3 away from 700. And kind of a cool story, the woman that caught it came back after. They brought her back to give him the home run ball, and she had talked about oh man, it was like losing a job and had lost her father or whatever it was. There's a whole bunch of like stuff there, and Albert ended up saying, you keep the ball, this will mean more to you, and signed a couple more balls for her, which was pretty cool. He's going to probably want 700, to be honest, if he gets there, Andrew. So we are now, 20, less than 20 days away from the season. And you and I were looking before the show, and Pujols is still not playing every single day. They got to get him out there every single day. He is 3 away. There's no way he can fall one short. They would be everyone would be devastated.
Yeah, I mean, this seems like a no-brainer. They've got an 8-game lead in the division at this point. Just play the man. Everyone wants to see it. Give your fans what they want. That's what the fans want. If they come to the game at Busch Stadium, they want to see Albert Pujols. They'll be disappointed if they don't. And the way he's hitting, it's not like it's exactly hurting the team to play him either, by the way.
And he's at home for the next 2 series at least. He's got a 2-gamer versus Milwaukee, and then they've got Cincinnati, both at home. He should play all of those. He should be out there for every single one of those to break this record, because we are getting so close. But I just have a eerie bad feeling that we are going to end at 699. Maybe it's my anarchistness that's inside of me. I just feel like we're going to end at 699, Andrew.
Oh, you're such a pessimist, man.
I know.
I'm saying he's going to break it with a week to spare.
Oh, okay. That'll be nice. Well, maybe we can get it going pretty soon. Some other stuff around the league. Kenley Jansen allowed 2 homers in the bottom of the 9th, took a loss on Sunday against the Mariners. I believe that was the game that Julio Rodriguez had a 117 EV home run, who continues to be the top dog. And, a big move I made, I hadn't made this move quite yet. As I told you, I was only working on my redraft. But in Dynasty, I moved Julio to number 1 in Dynasty right now. And I just think it's hard to justify anybody else. Tatis, obviously going to miss games and questions. Acuna's power has kind of wavered out. Soto is a hitter I think can improve, but doesn't steal bases. I mean, just across the board, there's a lot of big questions, but I made this about Julio here, even though Jansen got blown up. Any Jansen or Julio takes?
Well, there's the guy on the other side, Michael Harris, that we love, who's rocketing up those rankings as well. Maybe not quite to number 1 just yet, but that's in the range of possibility for next year if he keeps doing what he's doing this season.
Some clamoring for MVP votes for Michael Harris too, which is wild.
Yeah, with Jansen, I mean, they may need to give him some low leverage spots at this point, because he's really been struggling for a while now. And they're in a pennant race. They're not like the Cardinals with an 8-game lead in their division. They need to win these games, try to win that division. It's neck and neck with the Mets right now. So I would expect, especially with a guy like Raisel Iglesias there as well, who's a proven closer, that they could move Jansen to some earlier innings and let him work things out, because they want him ready to rock for the playoffs. I mean, he's had some ups and downs over the years, especially in the last few years, I'd say. Yeah. So, he does bounce back from those, and he can bounce back from this, but their priority has to be, don't blow games now, try to win that division and make sure that he's ready to go come playoff time. So, it's not what his fantasy managers are going to want to hear, but I think there's a real chance that he doesn't get the next save opportunity.
Yeah, and that's kind of the big rub here, is that you might be out Kenley Jansen's save opportunities in the most important time here. I think they might want to push him back, and they've got other options. That's why they they made moves they did. Shane McClanahan, who had that scary injury, likely to return on Thursday and start against the Blue Jays. So you guys can feel good about that, getting him back. I feel very good. And I know Wonky had tweeted about this, saying, I was probably freaking out somewhere, and Chris Clegg was on the show. We literally talked on Friday about Josh Young, and I said, I was like, I'm not sure I see Josh Young hitting a homer in his first game, but I absolutely see a hit. And sure enough, first at bat, gets his first career home run, Josh Young does. And since then, I didn't even think to pull up the numbers. 3 for 12. He's got that homer. He did steal a base, hitting 250. I told you the sneaky speed is out there. So hits in 2 of his first 3 games. They've actually got a double header here on Monday. So Josh Young looking like a pretty good pickup right now, Andrew.
Yeah, for sure. And, we are going to mention him again, I guess, later in the show because of the golden sombrero that he just had. So it's not going to be all smooth sailing necessarily, but he's just such an impressive prospect. And he's one of those guys where I feel like we haven't fully got to see it because there's just been, circumstances taking over. He had that flukish injury last year. Then he had the flukish injury in the winter this year with weightlifting. So he's missed a lot of time, but when he's played, he's looked exactly like the prospect that you would expect. And the power is legitimate. Batting average ability is there. As you said, maybe even some sneaky speed. So there's a lot to like, and the future is bright.
Yeah, the speed thing to me became something that like all of a sudden appeared when he was rehabbing. Like he became so much faster. He leaned out a little bit, and we probably would have seen a lot of him had he not gotten injured. But he's a good bet the rest of the way if he is still sitting out there. He is only. Again, read it for what it is for dead leagues and whatnot, but 23% owned in Yahoo, which, is probably closer to like of active leagues, probably like around 60%. So he might be sitting out there. Someone I would probably take a look at. On the injury front, and then we're going to talk about some pickups. Roldis Chapman had a scoreless inning on Sunday in a minor league rehab stint, which I think the minor leagues are done or end in the next day or two. So that's going to be all done here. In Double-A, so he could be coming back here in the near future. Mackenzie Gore tossed 1 2/3 of a scoreless frame on Sunday in a minor league rehab start in Triple-A. Again, that'll be the last one. He'll probably get a start at least, start or two to end out the year. Nico Horner was removed from Sunday's game against the Giants due to tightness in his right tricep, and Trevor Story was removed from Sunday's showdown against the Orioles due to pain in his left hand. Trevor Story has been a disaster this year, and Nico Horner has been sneaky good in getting stolen bases, a little bit of power. One of those guys, again, I was doing my 2023 ranks, I was really looking at and trying to figure out how I want to value Nico Horner, because I feel like he's been sneaky, but with this, any type of banged upness, you can probably move on immediately with only a couple weeks to go.
Yeah, I mean, he's a player that I kind of had dismissed really as maybe just like a points leagues kind of a guy. But then all of a sudden the stolen bases just have really come out of nowhere this year. I mean, not totally. He did have 5 in 44 games last year, but to be up to 18 already this season, I mean, part of it's obviously playing time, but the power also, he didn't hit a single home run in 2020 or 2021. He's got 9 this year. So still not exactly Albert Pujols, but you'll take it. It's the sneaky production that can really help you win if he's healthy. But again, you don't hold when he's day to day.
No, last 30 days, 6 stolen bases, 2 homers, hitting 262, 16 runs, and 11 RBI. And that brings us to the question of who are you picking up? So even in the chat, if you guys have any comments on pickups and who you're picking up or who you might, drop it. But Andrew, you drop an article. Who are you picking up? Who are some pickups people should be focusing on?
Well, I'm definitely picking up Hunter Brown, the pitcher for the Astros. He's a prized prospect. He looked really good in his first start against Texas last week. He gets a matchup with Detroit. That's a really juicy matchup coming up. We have to see about whether he's in the rotation for the entire rest of the season or not. The Astros always have a lot of options. And if Verlander does come back off the IL, we'll have to see what they decide to do. They've been rolling with a 6-man rotation recently, and they'll probably stick with that. But even so, with Verlander back, it could be 7. Then again, a guy like Urquidy has been struggling, so you could easily see him getting moved to long relief if Hunter Brown continues to pitch really well.
I will throw out Hunter Brown had worked some relief in the minors before he was called back up, so they could put him to that. But Texas, he just diced 6 innings, had 5 strikeouts, didn't give up an earned run, and then on Tuesday he's got Detroit. It's like a must start. That's actually one of the biggest must pickups if he's still sitting out there you could do is Hunter Brown against Detroit. So I completely agree with that. Who else do we have?
Yeah, and he's only like 34% rostered or something like that, I believe, in
Yahoo. So whatever.
Yeah, 39%, but yeah, still pretty low. Cal Raleigh, this guy is not exciting, but he actually is right up there for the league lead in home runs among catchers. So, and he's got a decent number of RBIs for a catcher as well. So maybe that's a sign of some of those dead leagues you're talking about, that he's still available, because there aren't enough catchers to go around at any given time. So if this guy's putting the ball over the fence like this, I mean, he's got 23 homers and 54 RBIs in just 326 at bats. Batting average is going to be gross. We know that, but it's catcher. So
200 over the last 30 days, but over the last 2 weeks, he's up to 242 and has 5 homers in that period of time.
Yeah, exactly. So, hot bat at a weak position, go for it. Pete Fairbanks is, he's not going to be the exclusive closer for the Rays. Nobody is, but he's been really, really good. And he is the leader of the committee chair at this point. So, I saw a stat that he has the lowest expected weighted on base percentage allowed of any pitcher in baseball, according to Statcast. It's a pretty small sample size, but still, like he's pitching great and belongs on a fantasy roster at this point, I would say.
Some good pickups we got in the chat. We had McCarthy, Carroll, and Escobar as pickups. All guys that you should be looking at. Diamondbacks roster in general has been turning out some fantasy options, and Escobar has been a half decent corner infielder to take a look at. So there are some guys out there for sure. McCarthy, can't imagine available anywhere, but you know, the Carroll might still be floating around out there. JP Friedel, there's another one of those. Actually some good early matchups this week. That's another one of those guys to take a look at. Some good pickups if you guys are looking for some hitters. Pitchers are a little bit tougher, but you know, I don't hate Cole Reagans. It's sitting out there. I think he's got to start today, and that'll give him a 2 start for the week. So
yeah, Bailey Falter is another one you could look at.
Yeah,
I believe he's get the Marlins again in his next start. He just pitched pretty decently against them, so you know, not massive upside, but a pretty solid floor, I would say.
Some pickups for you guys, and if you guys have any questions during the week, feel free to drop them, and we might do a focus, you know, maybe like mid-episode. I probably need to dedicate a time for it, but throughout the week, if you guys have any questions in the chat, you can drop them, and we'll answer a few of them, and maybe I'll tell you at the beginning of the episode when we'll do it, so you guys actually know, but you guys can drop it in today. Let's keep going here. Fun fact, Edwin Jackson officially announced his retirement from baseball. This was on the 10th via his Instagram, and Jackson played for 14 different teams, which is an all-time record. He also had the no-hitter for my Diamondbacks. I think he walked 7 in it or whatever it was. And I actually have this memory of, not that it matters to anybody, there's this series called the Dream Series where it was out here in Phoenix, and it's a series of it's like high school and down to 14-year-old kids and stuff like that. It's like the Martin Luther King Dream Series, I think it is. And I remember Edwin Jackson just rolled up and was talking with the kids. He just rolled up in whatever big SUV, and he just walked out and he was all blinged out. I always liked Edwin Jackson, but none of that actually matters. But 14 teams, that jersey room probably looks quite amazing for him.
Yeah, well, I was going to say the fact that he played for that many teams is kind of fitting, because I feel like he's the kind of player that could have played for every team in your fantasy league in a given season, because he was like that guy that you would always consider streaming, but you would never roster him for the whole season.
Edwin Jackson. Everyone's owned Edwin Jackson at some point. It'd be hilarious. You go and look at all time. There's no way someone has never not rostered Edwin Jackson at some point. Some point you're streaming, some point you're eating innings or whatever. So hat tip to Edwin Jackson. Some stat heroes from the weekend and yesterday. Tony Kemp, 3 for 4 with a homer, 3 RBI. Rowdy Tellez had 2 bombs, going 3 for 5 with 4 RBI. Elio Lopez, 3 for 3 with a homer and 3 RBI plus 3 runs. A lot of 3-run categories you can pick up here. Justin Turner had 2 homers with 5 RBI. Tomas Nido, homer, 3 RBIs, going 3 for 4. Julio had 2 homers, 3 for 4, 2 RBIs, 2 runs. Michael Harris had 2 bombs. Glaber, Eugenio Suarez, and Brian Anderson, all big 2-homer performances. Lots of RBIs, lots of runs in there. And anybody that you want to touch on, whether it is a low named like Tony Kemp, or, you did mention the Michael Harris stuff. I don't know what we can get out of it, but,
I mean, I could talk about him forever, but I will say, with a guy like Justin Turner, it's a good reminder of just how long the season is in fantasy, because this was a guy that really, really struggled in the first half of the year, but he had this very long track record of production to fall back on. I wouldn't have blamed anyone for dropping him at any point, but if you were the person that went and took him off the trash heap and put him into your lineup in the middle of the summer, you've been getting exactly vintage Justin Turner production out of him. You could say the same thing for Max Muncy.
Specifically, yeah, Max Muncy has been picking up. Specifically right now, though, Justin Turner over the last 2 weeks hitting 378 and has had just about a third of his total home runs for the season have happened in the last 2 weeks. So it's catching fire. So it's picking him up, getting him out there while he's catching fire. And he is doing so. A lot of multi-hit games. Since September 1st, he has had a run. This is a wild number. In 7 of 9 games he's played in. So if you're looking to get some run categories, Justin Turner is that guy, to your point.
Yeah, when you play for the Dodgers, it's a good lineup to be in. So, and I'm sure the Dodgers are happy that he's playing his best baseball of the season as we head to the fall as well.
Yeah, well, this is when they need it the most. On the pitching side, Mitch Keller went 7, giving up only 2 hits, 3 walks, though, 6 strikeouts on the day. Brady Singer had a 7-inning performance, 6 strikeouts, giving up 4 hits, walking only 1. Taijuan Walker, 7 and 10 Ks. Kyle Bradish, 7 innings, 3 Ks, and Marco Gonzalez, 5 Ks, 6 innings. Kyle Bradish has just been impressive. You need run support, you need wins, plays on a team that kind of struggles with that. But over the last 30 days, he's got 2 wins with a 2.55 ERA, 28 strikeouts, and a 1.13 whip. He has been more than serviceable. And the Toronto game wasn't fantastic, but 3 of his last 4 starts, he's gone at least 7 innings, and he does have Toronto coming up again. Actually, you know what's weird I'm looking at here? His whole schedule, he's already faced Toronto 3 times, and this is his 4th start coming up with Toronto, and none of them have gone well. So just pointing that out to everybody. But anything on Kyle Bradish for you?
I mean, I'd have trouble really trusting him, but if you're in one of those leagues with no innings limit and you are just trying to pick up as many wins and as many strikeouts as you can, I don't have a huge problem with it because, like you said, this is the best stretch of the season for him by far. I will also point out with a guy like Brady Singer, like he has been excellent over the last couple months, but I just dropped him this morning because his next 2 starts are at Boston and against Seattle, and we're at the time of the season where it's not what you've done for me, it's what are you going to be able to do the rest of the year. And I had John Gray coming off the IL, I activated him, and I had to make room. So sorry, Brady Singer, you've been huge for my fantasy team, but it's time to move on.
Yeah, and I looked here, by the way, this will be the 5th start for Kyle Bradish against Toronto. It's just kryptonite. I want to see what his ERA looks like if he didn't face Toronto, because each one of those he's gotten lit up in all 4 of them with number 5 coming up. So if you're planning to start him, just beware. On the stat zero side, Jonathan India 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts. Boy, Jonathan India has not been anything we hoped for this year, and it has just gotten worse. Josh Young, as you mentioned, 0 for 4, 4 strikeouts. Will Myers also 0 for 4, 4 strikeouts. And then some 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Friedel, Blackman, Garlick, Von Grissom, and Austin Hedges all 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. On the pitcher side, Luis Patino got lit up. 1 1/3, 9 earned runs, gave up 3 homers, walked 4. No bueno. Justin Dunn, 6 earned runs and 3, gave up a couple homers. Johnny Cueto, a rare light up, 4 2/3, 5 earned runs, gave up 8 hits. And Jesus Luzardo, just when we were getting all happy, 3 1/3, 5 earned runs, 3 Ks, homer. Cueto's probably a good example of like the quick burn and churn. He's been so good, he gets lit up there. Are you immediately turning that into a streaming spot, or are you holding tight?
It's been so hard to trust Johnny Cueto, even as he's been putting up these good numbers all along. So, like at this point in the season, trust is so important when you can, you're in a head-to-head league playoff matchup, and one bad outing can literally end your season. So, I can't say I have a ton of confidence in him right now. If there's someone with a good matchup that's pitching well lately available, I wouldn't have a problem making the switch.
Like head-to-head in relationships, trust. That's what it's all built on. It's all built on trust for your head-to-heads. Home run calls, baby. We have a brand new leader at the top of the board because Cat Fox got 2 correct home run calls over the weekend, has passed D Blum. For everybody that is paying attention to it, our home run call race has been a wild one throughout the season, and Cat Fox is now at the very top with 51 home runs. They had Christian Walker on Sunday that did not end up working out. Cat Fox is at 50. Cat Fox is at 51. D Blum is at 50. Go Cards tied with High Cubby at 49. L Scale at 48. And that is how the list looks right now. Brand new. Cat Fox, I don't believe, has ever been at the top of this leaderboard and is the leader. And it is a tight race, friendo. So make sure you're getting those home run calls in. And if you've heard this all season and wondered how you can check it out, make sure you go to the Discord on Fantasy Pros, and you can be a part of it. Get the premium Discord, and you can get in all the rooms. There's AMAs, there's access to people, and there's the home run call room, which is just easy. You can just literally type in like apostrophe HR dash the person, and your home run call is registered and tracked. And that's all that anybody needs to do. And you can go and check out our friends over, yes, At BetMGM, I'm kind of I'm scheming today, blue and blue, putting on my tiara, no crown like Joe Pisapia for our friends over at BetMGM, where you can get a $1,000 risk-free first bet by using the promo code leading off. So just go do it. Go do it, kings. Go do it, queens. Don't be afraid. You can put on that tiara. You can make some money today. Leading off is a promo code, and you guys can make some bets. I made some bets this weekend. I even had a nice little two strikeout pitcher prop this weekend, and then I did some football ones, and I used BetMGM. I will tell you this. So one thing I've noticed when I use different books, BetMGM seems to be one of the best with giving you free plays. They are free play monsters with, if you bet on some stuff, then all of a sudden you got a 10, a 20, a $40 free bet in there. So if you like to play that, go and check them out. BetMGM on the app, or you can get them online. So some props today I've got, Andrew. I'm going to lay out four for you, and you let me know what you dig. You guys know the drill. I got you the top prop total base and the top strikeout, and then I give you the plus money one and see what you like. The top total base for the day is Rodolfo Castro, who you need one total base from. It's on BetMGM, and it's minus 190. So Pittsburgh's at Cincinnati. All you need is a single hit, and that is their top hit and top bet on the algorithm for betting pros. The plus money play is Aristides Aquino, which it's 1.5 total bases, but it's paying you 115 plus 115 in the same game. So two bad pitchers. The expectation is there's going to be some runs. On the pitching side, the top strikeout play is Connor Pilkington, who is 3.5 strikeouts, projected to be 5 on DK. This is minus 165 on DK. And then the plus money play is Reed Detmers, who's going up against Cleveland. 4.5 strikeouts are projecting just barely over it. It's plus 105. So you've got Pilkington, you've got Detmers on the strikeouts, Aquino and Castro. This is not a big name prop generating thing today, Andrew. Are any of those for your liking?
Oh, it's tough. I mean, the Detmers one feels like it should be pretty doable. The problem is that the Guardians really don't strike out a lot. So,
and Detmers can also get very not strikeouty. I actually don't particularly like that one. I don't.
I might go with Pilkington, honestly, just on the other side of that game. The Angels seem to, outside of Mike Trout and Ohtani, seem to have kind of given up on the year, and it's such a low number, 3.5 strikeouts. So I think if he can just get 5 innings, he can probably do that.
Just one of those things. I just couldn't say his name, Pilkington. Also, I had my text type way too tiny. I need to bring that up. You see how tiny that is? That's a 7.5. Who does that? I need to put this up to 10.5. I'm doing crazy stuff. I could barely even read the name. The one I would take a look at, I don't see it listed on here, is Spencer Strider. I don't even see it on the list. I'm always a Spencer Strider over. If the number's 8.5, I'm comfortable with it. If it's 9.5, I probably don't want to play with it. But Strider's on something, and him and his teammate, Michael Harris, they are vying for the Rookie of the Year. So I don't expect any slowdown. So if you don't want to play any of these algorithmy plays of here's the top one they generate, or here's the plus money, just go to the old try and true and go with Spencer Strider, and you'll feel a lot better about yourself. Trust me. Over on the DFS side, FanDuel, Strider is 10-4. Bassett is even 10. And probably the play of the day, probably the biggest, chalkiest play is going to be Framber Valdez, who's 11. I don't have a lot of pivot plays. I don't see a whole lot of pivot plays on pitching. So I think Framber is going to be highly owned. Chris Bassett might be the best pivot off of those guys, even though I love Strider as a play. For your implied runs, I believe LA is the only one implied over 5 runs, but your top ones are Mets, Cincinnati, and Toronto. So I think if you're getting a gist here, is maybe go and take a look at that Pittsburgh-Cincinnati game, which has got awful pitching. Bryce Wilson is in there, and stack some of those guys. Maybe maybe a Fraley you can put in there. Just stack a couple of those players because there should be a whole lot of offense, and Cincinnati is on those implied totals. And friendos, that takes us to the home run calls. We're going to get it. We're going to see what the leaderboard looks like. Andrew, what do you think? Who you got on your home run call for today? We don't have a full slate of games, but we got some hitters to choose from.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jose Altuve. He's got really nice career numbers against Eduardo Rodriguez. He's been hitting pretty well recently as well. And most importantly, I have him on my fantasy team. So I am putting some good karma out there into the world for Jose Altuve to put one over the fence for me.
Very impressive numbers, too, when you break down second base. You break down overall second base. If you don't look at Yahoo eligibility. Yahoo's eligibility is like silly nonsense sometimes. They still have Mookie Betts listed there. You've got Trey Turner still listed there. So if you go into real world stuff, pretty easy argument that Altuve becomes the number one second baseman again in fantasy baseball. Edman is a definite question with the stolen bases. You can make the argument. Ozzy Albies has missed a lot of times, but you're looking at redraft stuff for next year. Altuve has just done his stuff again, and that's a good one. I believe you've also got Mayer going in the same game. He's going with Bregman. Wonky is going with TJ Friedel, and I'm going to go with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Bad pitching. Give me Vladdy Daddy for the home run. And friends, that is it. That is what we've got for you. So make sure you lock in tomorrow because, like I said, we will probably take some fantasy questions as far as start and sit and whatever you got, and I'll give a designated space for it so you guys can all know that, and we can get you guys set for the playoffs because it is grind time, baby, whether it's roto or head-to-head. Andrew, what do you got going on the baseball front? I know you just released the pickups article, I believe, on Saturday. Anything else going down?
Yeah, no, that's the main thing. Just doing that waiver wire article each week over at Fantasy Pros. And I'm continuing to do my rest of season rankings podcast. We're talking a lot of football there at the moment, but we'll try to get another baseball pod in here soon before the end of the year. And you can follow me on Twitter at Andrew_Seifter. ROSrankings.com is the website.
Boom. Go check it out. Follow me on Twitter at IsItTheWelsh. You guys know the drill and everything else. Until next time, friends, good luck in your playoffs. Win some stuff and come back and talk to us about who you should pick up right here on Leading Off. Bye, buddies. Bye.